Today is Chaf Dalid of, and we're speaking about, in today's Chumash, we're speaking about Shemitah. The Parsha says that on the 7th year, any loan that you lent someone and he still didn't pay you back, if the 7th year comes, then that's it. He doesn't need to pay you back anymore. Don't harass him for the money. He doesn't need to pay you back. Now, what about people who are non-Jews? So the Parsha says specifically your brethren. Who are your brethren? Jewish people, because we're all like family. Imagine if your brother lent you money, right? You know, your brother's not going to harass you for the money, especially when Torah says so. And here, we're all Yid and we're all brothers. Therefore, you do not need to pay, or your brother does not need to pay you back. You're another Yid. What about a non-Jew? A non-Jew, it's actually, Rashi mentioned, it's a mitzvah, a positive commandment to make sure that if a non-Jew owes you money, to make sure he pays you back. Now, Hashem says there will be no poor people among you, right? If you follow the laws of Shemitah and you do it properly, then there's going to be no poor people among you, and Hashem will give you all the land you need, right? It's interesting. What does the word Evyon mean? Evyon is a poor person. Evyon means, Rashi says, Shehu taiv l'chol davar. He has a taiva for everything. A poor person, anything you give him, he'll be like, I love that. Why? Because he doesn't have anything. That's why it's called an Evyon. So Hashem says, Dafka, when you listen to me, that's when you won't have Evyon, you won't have a poor person amongst you, and Hashem will bless you, and you'll be the ones lending money to the nations, but you will not need to borrow money from them, because you're going to be the rich ones, and you're going to rule over them, and they will not rule over you. Now, what if there is a poor person amongst your city, a poor person in your town? You have to make sure, don't hold your hands closed, rather give him all the money he needs. Make sure to support him. Lend him money, give him money, make sure he has food on his table. Now, what if you say, let's say, right, this Shemitah, Rashi mentioned it doesn't happen 7 years from when you lend the guy money. It happens every 7 years, no matter what. Let's say on the 3rd year, right, you lend someone money. So you know in 4 years' time, if he doesn't pay you back within 4 years, he's not going to have to pay you back anymore, right? Now, what if it's the 6th year? So you know that in 1 year, if you lend someone money now, in 1 year's time comes, he doesn't pay you back, then he's not going to need to pay you back ever again. So you say, you know what, I'm just not going to lend him money. No, I'm sorry, Reuven, I can't lend you money because it's too late. The next year is the 7th year, and I don't want to have to be stuck with you not having my money. So Hashem says, no, don't do that. Always lend a fellow Yid money, otherwise it's going to be like a sin, because Hashem tells you lend him money. Hashem says, not only that, if you listen to me, I'll make sure you end up getting your money back. Meaning, Hashem will repay you in the most finest way, and never turn down the hand of your brethren, the Jewish nation, and there will be no poor people amongst you. Now, what happens if you sell, right, a Jewish slave? You sell a Jewish slave, and he works for you for 6 years. Now this Jewish slave comes the 7th year, you have to let him go. Now, when you let him go, don't just let him go and pay him what you owe him. Give him presents, give him gifts, give him special foods, right? Give him some nice gifts when he leaves, when he goes back to his house. He says here, the sheep, give him your cattle, give him a lot of things. And you have to also, don't forget that you were also once a slave. Where? In the land of Egypt, right? In Mitzrayim. Therefore, Hashem tells you, be nice to all the avadim, all the slaves. Now, what if this slave tells you, no, I don't want to go free, it's the 7th year, I want to stay working for you. So what do? Everyone knows, we take the hammer and we pierce his ear by the doorpost, and we say, now you can be a slave forever. Now, there's a few reasons why, but I'm going to say one, because we have to pierce the ear, because the same ear that heard by Matan Torah, or that heard the Torah being read, and what did the Torah say? That you're only going to be the slave of Hashem, and now what do you want to be? You want to be a slave of a random human being, right? Hashem says that's not allowed. You're only my slave. Oh, you want to be a slave of a human? All right, you didn't listen, so we're going to pierce your ear to make you remember this. Fine. That is today's Chumash. Moving on to today's Tanya. Today's Tanya, we're holding, yesterday we finished off saying, what does it mean? Ashreinu matev chalkeinu, how lucky is our portion, our chelek, and now we're going to say, umanayim gair aleinu, and how lovely is our lot, like the raffle we won, right? A lot is like a raffle. So, now, through doing the 613 mitzvahs, that's how we draw down the 613 levels of connection to Hashem, levels of light into our neshama. Fine. Now, nevertheless, although all the neshamis, everyone can connect to Hashem through having these 613 Torah mitzvahs. Nevertheless, there are in every generation there are specific mitzvahs that generation is what's it called again? Has a bigger obligation to do, and they're meant to be extra careful in that mitzvah. And also between us people, every person has a certain mitzvah that, like, their avodah in this world is to be very strict in that mitzvah specifically, amongst all others, but specifically that mitzvah, right? Now he says, for example, in the times of the Gemara, their challenge, or their not the challenge, but their mitzvah, the main zihirus, the main attention they had to give was to which mitzvah? The mitzvah of learning Gemara, learning Torah. Now what about, for example, in the times of Mashiach, the times before Mashiach, and actually, it's funny because we learned just about it in Chumash right now, you have to give tzedakah. You have to make sure to give tzedakah. That's the main mitzvah of our generation. You have to always give tzedakah, and that will help the coming of Mashiach. Yeah. And that concludes today's Tanya and today's Chumash. Asher Kayach Ever for joining. We shall see you again on Sunday, Emer Hashem at 1:30, same time, same place. Asher Kayach, and we'll see you then. Have a good Shabbos.